think 650 deserve now a 900 as an upgrade option for people who've been riding, who've been using their interceptors and GTs very patriotically maybe. They deserve a 900 to upgrade to.
I think electric Himalayan is also something that they'll show.
It's very ironic, no? One year talking about
Conquering the Himalayas.
conquering the Himalayas, or they say something like pave your own way or something like that.
I think it's
Made for all roads.
all road not
Right, and as long as they have an electric charging station. EICMA is just around the corner, which means a lot of motorcycle brands will bring in everything that they've been working around for the last 1 year. Neman, what are we expecting from our favorite motorcycle brands?
Okay, so let's actually go brand wise.
Okay.
First off, I'm starting off with Royal Enfield, and the most exciting part for me is I think they're coming up with a 750cc engine, and it'll be on probably on a GT or an Interceptor. So that is the most exciting part for me. So these are of course the spy pictures, which I think you would have seen. This is for the GT.
I haven't seen them. It's not very clear as to how the motorcycle will look.
Yeah,
But I'm not too sure if I'm a like a GT owner, if I'd be very excited about 100 more cc's.
yes, this is the problem I also have, because they're just increasing it by, let's say, 100cc, and let's say it'll be what do you call 55 bhp or something like
Yeah, like maybe HP more.
5 to 10 bhp more, but the bike will be more heavier. So this kind of doesn't make sense for me. But let's hope they come out with a great bike.
I hope they surprise everybody and actually come out with a 900.
I think later on, I think probably in 2 years time they should do that.
That's long, man. I think 650 deserves now a 900 as an upgrade option for people who've been riding and
The 650s, yeah.
who've been using their interceptors and GTs very patriotically maybe. They deserve a 900 to upgrade to.
That is true. So actually the 700 makes sense on a Himalayan. So they're also coming out of that, I hope. Because we've seen the Himalayan with a bigger engine. And again, let's hope it is the 750cc. You would have seen the pictures, I hope. So, see, it looks pretty cool.
I haven't. This. Oh, pretty nice.
Pretty nice. No, and if this is a 750cc engine, this makes sense because Himalayan at the moment is a single cylinder 450. And previously it was, of course, the 411. So this makes sense.
Yes, I think the single cylinder 450 has, has won a lot of hearts. It does so well.
In the soul.
The Himalayan was very popular because people felt it is the right motorcycle for the Himalayas. If it fell, you could easily pick it up and still ride it.
Huh.
I'm not too sure if a big Himalayan is right for the Himalayas, but a big Himalayan is probably right for touring.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's how they will, pitch it. And of course, this is, I know, not up your alley, but I think electric Himalayan is also something that they'll show, because with this 750cc, they were also showing the electric Himalayan. I'll show you how.
That's very ironic.
Yeah, I know.
Like at one end, you're asking about going and conquering the world, but only if you do it at 50 kilometers per trip.
I think they'll probably hit 150, 200, hopefully. I mean, at least 150. But look at the mobile
Then you wait for what? Then after, what do you do?
wait for 2 hours, I guess, or 1 hour. But can you take a look at the motorcycle? It looks pretty cool.
I think this is more like a marquee product, which is trying to say that we can do certain stuff without really being serious about selling it. I don't know if it's very ironic, no? One year talking about
Conquering the Himalayas.
conquering the Himalayas, or they say something like pave your own way or something like that.
I think it's
right? Made for all roads.
all road not
Right, and as long as they have an electric charging station.
Oh, this I don't know. For the new one. I know. Okay. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Next one is also an electric. The Flying Flea. I think it's supposed to come out next year. So they've already shown a few models. I think this year they'll just make sure the final piece is ready and maybe show it at EICMA. That is what I'm hoping. So of course you've seen the Flying Flea.
I thought they've shown it before.
They have. They had a proper video, I think, when the bike is falling from. I mean, of course, not the real bike, but coming down. And that is what they were trying to show. And then, but I think this year they will probably bring out the final prototype, which will be more production ready. I think that's what will happen.
Do you expect it to be launched anytime soon?
Yeah, I think 26 mid or towards the end it should come out.
It'll be interesting to see electric motorcycle in a Royal Enfield fleet.
They are very excited about it. Let's hope they, do a good job. So next up is actually Honda. So they've actually released the motorcycle. It's the CB1000F. It's a super retro 4-cylinder 1000cc motorcycle. It's I don't know, it kind of looks like a 70s motorcycle. So they've already come out with it, I think, a few months back, but I think they'll showcase it to the world at EICMA. So this is the motorcycle. Yeah,
That looks good, man.
it looks pretty good.
It looks very nice.
It looks very nice. It's very 70s.
And it's a CB1000. It's gonna be, you know how it's gonna feel like an inline 4 engine. It's crazy. Like, I think there'll be a lot of takers for this one.
Same. It's supposed to be a big motorcycle, but it doesn't look intimidating. That's what I like the most about it. And of course, very retro. And it comes in a few colors. I mean, they should showcase at least 2-3 pieces there. And also, this comes with a different variation also, which I don't know what it's called, but probably with different fairings or something. That is something.
This is a very, very interesting.
Okay. And then Honda also is supposed to come out with an electric motorcycle.
Okay.
It's called WN7, and it's an electric motorcycle. It kind of looks like this, and I think this is what will come out. What is your thought on an electric Honda?
I'm not too sure. I don't know if Honda don't have an electric car. They have an hybrid car.
Yeah.
And was it Honda saying that we will not go electric?
That was supposed to be Toyota, but both of them are going electric. A bit, very, but of course, it's very slow compared to the other guys. They did the right call. I mean, they made the right call.
Like, of course, I can't see myself riding any of these. And something that I'm really not very interested in on the electric front. I don't think motorcycles will go electric. But yeah, companies will take out. I think some companies just take it out of FOMO.
Maybe. Let's see. We don't know what the future will hold, but maybe it's electric or maybe it's still IC. Also, Honda also released a inline 4 500cc engine. I think CB500 Super 4, something like that.
Oh, wow.
So this was actually only for the Chinese market, I think. Let's hope they'll showcase it at EICMA, so that eventually it trickle down to maybe Indian markets. So these are what this is what Honda is doing. And then next, I think we should go to the Harley Davidson. So Harley Davidson has not been doing much lately, I feel like. But everybody's saying they'll probably come up with an entry-level motorcycle. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
They already have one here, right? Here in India, they have the one in China that they sell, which is
even smaller, I think.
Even smaller. I think that's a 350cc.
Yeah.
And if they do plan to bring it, I think it'll be one of these two motorcycles that because they all look very similar. The Chinese motorcycle looks very similar to the Indian one.
Yes, it does, kind of. But it's very old now. Like, even the 400 is what, 2 years old now? Sorry, the 440. I think the 350 is even older.
But maybe for the European market is what they want to showcase as to this is what we are bringing to the European market.
Oh, okay. But okay, let's hope they come out with something really cool. Because I've grown up with seeing cool Harleys, but I can't see them anymore.
But for Europe, Harley is still very big. Oh, you see a lot of Harley Davidsons in Europe.
Oh,
I think, of course, the American market will always be there for them.
That is true.
But yes, I do feel that the new Harleys, they've gone more performance.
More modern.
More performance. The whole rumble is slightly lesser in the new ones. But it's nice to see every time. The thing about a Harley is every time you see one of these Harley Davidsons park, you can't ignore them. You'll start looking at them, start talking about them. They'll just be very beautifully designed motorcycles. Even today, I think their collection, though it's much more limited to what it used to be, but every time you see a lowrider or a, or a heritage, it just looks so good.
Yeah, internationally, I think they still do pretty well. I mean, of course, the American market is great for them. But I don't know. Here, I feel like I don't see them. That is my only problem. I want them to come back. Like, they were the OG, pool motorcycles. So next step is actually BSA. They're actually coming out with a new motorcycle, which there are no speculations, no rumors, no leaks. So it should be something brand new, and I really hope they hit the mark with this because, yeah, they have the single cylinder 650 here in India. Outside they have two motorcycles, and I don't know why it's still not in India. So I really hope they hit the mark and it works for them.
So
Yeah.
I think it's very typical BSA to not say anything till they say, look, here's the motorcycle.
Yeah, they
Which
really.
is because as a motorcycles, I think they're very good looking motorcycles.
Yes.
They feel very good when you ride them, but it's a classic case of marketing not done right.
I know.
Right? Everything else is done, but when it comes to marketing and bringing the product out to the market and showing people what it is, BSA will just BSA or the classic legends per se will just say, here's the motorcycle.
Yeah.
And once that event is over, the hype will also die down as quickly as it started.
That's true. That's true. For the Scrambler, I remember it. For the last EICMA, it was such a big thing, and now it's nowhere.
It's nowhere. I think the Bantam is what this
Bantam.
Bantam.
I hope it's right what I'm saying.
And they gave, at least this time in the Bantam, they gave it to a couple of people to ride it and see it. But I know that after a month, it'll just die down.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's hope they figure it out.
I just hope those good motorcycles deserve better marketing.
That's true. That's actually true. Yeah.
Or better sales, better. It's not. It feels a bit sad to see them not doing that well as they should, given sort of quality of the product that they have.
I know. Let's hope they pick it up. And next, let's I think go to BMW. So BMW, I'm most excited for so last year there was a prototype R20. So this year I think they'll come up with it again or maybe finalize it. That is something I'm super excited for. What are your thoughts on the R20? I hope you've seen the motorcycle.
I've seen it. It looks like one of those custom built bold boxer motorcycles is what they've put out. Of course, they can't produce it commercially. They won't be able to do it.
Oh.
Not in the spec that they
Of course.
Right? Because it might just not pass a lot of
I mean, it'll be a BMW's rocket, right? I mean, the Triumph rocket. Somewhat.
Yeah, but I don't know if that R18 engine needs to get any bigger. It's anyway huge. And they're
I'm super excited.
Yeah, they're just going the typical BMW way of let's do something so weird that people can't stop talking about it.
Okay. I don't know. I'm super excited, but I think okay, I know I'm excited for the R20, but people are most excited for the F450 GS, which is the smaller twin cylinder GS. What are your thoughts on that? I know you're not a big GS fan.
I'm not a big GF fan. I'm not a big ADV fan. I think motorcycles still need to look retro cool. Still need to, when you're actually doing the so-called adventure on them, you also need to work with the motorcycle instead of the motorcycle doing all the work and being absolutely comfortable and allowing you to do it,
Okay, that's true.
But yes, I've heard it. Everyone's been talking about it. All our friends talk about it, right? They're all our friends have already started saving money to say that I'll buy a,
It actually looks cooler than the 1300 BMWs actually. I mean, the 1300 BMWs are huge. They look like tanks, right?
They look like spaceships that you're supposed to navigate and probably get a astronaut's license even if it exists or something like that. No, it feels like you need a special big license and you have to wear a spacesuit to ride that big GS. But I think the baby GS will be nicer, especially for because the smaller engine has now started performing that well that you can actually do a lot in them.
Exactly. I mean, I think it'll be a combination with Himalayan and all.
Yes. I think it'll be great to see something like that come in.
Huh.
And BMW, one thing that they know really well is how to sell motorcycles.
Yeah, I mean, talk about marketing. Their marketing is great.
Yeah, they know how to sell it.
Exactly.
They will be able to sell it. Globally, they'll be able to sell it. So yeah, it should be a nice motorcycle to see.
Okay, so next up is actually Suzuki. So I know Suzuki doesn't do a lot, at least in India. And like Honda, these guys also released a bunch of motorcycles called the GSX 8T and 8TT. So these are super retro. Again, like the Honda, these are even more retro. So let me just show you the motorcycle.
No, that looks nice.
This looks pretty cool, right? I think
Yeah.
kind of looks cooler than the Hondas. So this is the TT and this is the T. For yeah, I think this looks super. This also looks retro, not as much as the Hondas, I think, but then I think looks cooler though.
It looks like a Trident, but made retro by
Huh, I
you
can
know, with
see what you're saying.
front thing. Speaking of which, I think Triumph's also released the new Trident. No, the new Trident also looks very similar, but I would pick this over the Trident any day because it just looks. It's got that spunk in it, an extra bit of.
It looks cool. It looks cooler actually, cooler than most motorcycles. That's what I think, especially with the TT.
Yeah, it's got that extra bit of, I don't know, like an extra bit of panache into it that makes it very exciting to look at. I have never ridden a Suzuki before, so I wouldn't be able to comment on how they will ride. But
I think they'll do great. I've ridden the smaller Suzukis. They're actually pretty cool. So, I mean, this is what excited me most for Suzuki. And then now I think we should talk about Triumph. So Triumph lately, I think they're saying they're coming up with 29 new models. It's basically updated models of the Bonneville's, all the Bonnevilles, including the Bobbers, the Speedmaster looks different. The color schemes are different.
I hope they didn't go to the LED screens on the Bonneville.
No, I don't think so. That is still sorted. They still have the.
They'll have some. I think they've discontinued the T100.
Oh,
The T100 won't be there, is what I.
I feel like I saw the T100 said, at least in the video.
Oh.
I could be wrong. I mean, I hope they don't discontinue it because that's a great engine. And then, of course, even the Scrambler's got a bunch of good updates. So this is basically electronics, color, design, very basic. I mean,
Which is what they do every EICMA.
no, last time I think they just changed up the colors. I think they say
Every EICMA, they'll change up the colors a bit and say, look, we have 20 new motorcycles. It's basically just a paint work.
but
And a bit of POP here, there, but button here, there, and that is usually very Triumph to do.
but everything looks cool. Like I saw a dedicated video and everything looked very good. Even the color schemes, even the bobbers have new colors. It kind of reminds me of what they did with the Speed Twins last year, no? They followed that pattern in terms of colors, that dual tone designs. So that is what they've done basically to Triumphs. But I'm excited. I mean, they'll eventually come up with that factory custom bikes also, which will look different later on. So that is what I'm excited.
Triumph, at least whoever is in the Triumph color division gets it always spot on.
Exactly.
I don't think there is an ugly looking Bonneville color that I would know of.
I can.
You know, it's just that guys would just be obsessive over color and like, no, let's tweak it a bit, let's add some. But and when they finally come out with that shade, you're like, wow, man. Like the blue and black that they used to have, which
I understand. I love the blue.
In Europe to ride around. It was just gorgeous to look at.
Yeah, that's true. So this is what Triumph is doing. I think we covered up most of the brands, and there are other brands that are making. Let's say like a Kawasaki is making a KLE 500, which is again an adventure motorcycle. And then even Ducati this year, I think they're not doing much, but I think they're working on again Multistradas and Panigale. So which is happening, which is not what I.
They just had a new.
Yeah, it doesn't excite me, but it's supposed to be very powerful. So yeah, that's happening for them. I think that's it.
Okay, fair enough. That is our update from what we expect from EICMA. What are the motorcycles that you're most excited about? And what do you think motorcycle companies should be doing further? Let us know in the comment below.